Watching people play Football Manager on YouTube is mostly boring. I know, right? Nerds. Welcome to Football Manager's Unpopular Opinions. I found this Reddit post and some of the answers are absolutely outrageous. I don't know if it's unpopular, but I think save scumming is fair if you do it for player dynamics. It's stupid that you can just with a click of a button screw up your entire team dynamics. The art of save scumming. Now, seriously though, I get what he means because Football Manager does have a thing where, like, every team meeting that people do, you can literally ruin all of your squad dynamics and just make so many players unhappy. Even down to saying, like, I'm going to be ambitious and I think we should make the final of a cup competition. A lot of them, they turn around and say they hate you after that and they're really disheartened. They think you're being too ambitious, and then it's the opposite. You're not being ambitious enough. There's a very small line, and I think it's difficult because it does ruin your team dynamics. However, my unpopular opinion about this unpopular opinion is that I don't think team dynamics really make that much difference. I know, shock horror, but when I do the rebuilds, I simulate throughout the whole season, which means I miss everything in between, such as players getting unhappy when I'm not playing them enough, or wanting to leave because somebody come in from them in January and my club just automatically rejected it. But you never see them, yes, they're unhappy, but you never see them underperform. They're still performing to as good as what they can possibly be. Now, you might have some unhappy players and it might be more difficult to keep them, but they still perform really well. Whereas in real life, we tend to see if somebody is really unhappy, it actually affects their performance. So my unpopular opinion is that possibly dynamics might not make that much difference to team performance. It will, however, make it incredibly difficult to keep hold of your favourite players. Graphics is not the biggest problem the game has by a long shot. I do kind of agree with this one, however, there is a caveat to that. I think if you're to grow the game's player base, you need to have the better graphics to do that, which will then bring in more money, which will then allow you to build a bigger team and have more resources to make the game better. So I think in the long run, having graphics or improving the graphics engine, which is exactly what they're doing in FM25, will bring in a bigger player base, because you try getting people who have grown up on PS4 and PS5 graphics to play this game for the very first time. Yeah, it's like going back in time 20 years because of the graphics. We're all used to it, right? We're all fine. We've played this game since we were young and we were used to PS2 graphics anyway. So that's going to bring in the bigger player database. And what you need to think, because there was a lot of comments saying, I don't care about the graphics. I play on 2D. That's good for you. However, for the game's sake of longevity and to make the game better, they need more money, more resources. They ain't going to get that if they continue just putting out PS2 graphics, because the player base is going to get bigger. So, yeah, that's my little caveat to the unpopular opinion. I don't mind what the new gens look like. Really, dude? It's 2023 and AI can throw things up like this within 10 seconds. Mine is that the developers need to work on fixing basic things such as set piece manager. This one was the highest rated reply to this unpopular opinions post, and I don't think it's very much an unpopular opinion. I think football managers realize that everybody now wants these things fixed rather than, you know, like new flashy features which don't really get used that much. Set pieces have been the same for years. We need a change on that. Hopefully we'll see that in sometime soon within the next couple of versions of Football Manager, especially with the new engine that's coming in. We might see a vast improvement on that. So I think we can cross our fingers and think that this one might actually come true and start fixing the things that we all have gripes with instead of giving us stuff that we never asked for. So, less unpopular opinion, more that I completely agree. I don't like asymmetric formations, not because they are bad or don't work, but because I need my formation to be symmetrical. And the response below that adds to this that they even need the duties that they put the players on each side. They have to be the same as well. What? Which is a wild claim, isn't it? Like, I get kind of having a symmetrical formation, because even though asymmetric formations can be really powerful in the game, like having symmetrical ones that are very similar to that, I don't think will change the results too much if you're playing through. But the attack, support, defend duty changing or have to be exactly the same on each side, that's wild, because it's all down to the players and the players' attributes. If they don't have very good tracking back attributes, then putting them on a defend or support is not going to benefit you at all. Stick them on attack, let them do what they do the best. So I think that, being a very unpopular opinion, might actually be stopping you from being better at the game, or at least having better results in the game. The game is boring once your team gets too good, to which a reply was to avoid hoarding Wonderkid, and that's the reason why it becomes easy. But another responded mentioning the difference in being mid-table and top of the league. But I actually think what solves this problem is another unpopular opinion that's on this post. I actually think FM is quite boring if you don't make up your own kind of storylines. And this I fully 100% agree with. It's the reason why I don't just do normal saves from like the bottom Vanarama National League all the way up to the top. I have to have a reason why I start a series, hence why I do the likes of Glory Hunter. The story is me trying to get all of the trophies. Youth to Gold, there's a stipulation that I have to be strict with and I have to stick to. Director of Football Challenge, everything that I've done has some kind of storyline behind it. I don't just pick a team and just play with them just for the sake of it without any restriction stuff, because I do find I need to give myself a story, and I think giving a story in a YouTube series actually makes it more interesting as well, which is also kind of the caveat to the very first person who said that watching people on YouTube are boring. If you find something where you enjoy the story, that's when you're going to enjoy it a lot more. You're going to enjoy your save a lot more. And that's the reason why a lot of people have asked me this year, like, why I don't focus a lot on the actual game itself. I am so engrossed in trying to find stories for the game, because the game isn't quite as good at telling stories without me being the storyteller, if that makes sense. I don't use things like recruitment focused stuff because that's the boring side of the game. My audience is not into that type of thing. My audience seems to love the storyline, the drama, and that's the reason why, like, the verses when me and Dad was doing the rebuilds against each other, the storyline was writing itself. We didn't really have to create anything. The storyline itself was me versus Dad, and so many people have been mentioning that. So the story itself is vastly one of the most important things when you pick a save during Football Manager. Without proper logos, it isn't immersive. Again, I don't think that's very much an unpopular opinion. I think people who are on the PC tend to always, if they have like the ability to do so, download logo packs, face packs, kit packs. I know I do, because I find it way more immersive. It does take you out of the game when you very first play a game of Football Manager with all the logos not, you know, being actually as they're supposed to be. And I think that's the way Football Manager needs to evolve. They need to try and gain as many licenses as possible, because console players do not have that ability to do so yet, and it might take the immersiveness out of the game. I don't know what the numbers are like, but I guarantee people who play on the PC probably go way more into their saves than console players. Probably even without the logos and stuff being into consideration, they probably do. But that's what I think the console version needs, is more logos, more face packs. Just make the game look prettier, because at the end of the day, you're using your eyes for quite a lot of this. I get this is just a glorified spreadsheet that we're working with, so really the logos and everything, it does not matter. But aesthetically, you need something to be a little bit more attractive to keep you immersed, and that is a big one for me. Finishing together with long throws are the most useless stats in the game. First and foremost, my friend, is attributes and not stats. However, I do kind of agree, not with the long throws. I think long throws are a bit of an anomaly. Sometimes they are really good, and it depends who you've got attacking them and what you've set up, to be honest, in the set piece stuff, to see whether they're actually working or not, and what version of the game you're playing on, because a few years ago long throws were just way broken. But finishing, I kind of agree that it could be useless. My reason for that is I've had top goal scorers in last year's Football Manager with 10 finishing, because they had unbelievable physical attributes and they have unbelievable anticipation, composure, and off the ball. I believe that those attributes are way more important, especially the physicals. And I think that kind of correlates to real life, because if they are the quickest person on the pitch, doesn't matter how good you are at finishing, if you can time your runs correctly, you're going to get way more opportunities. And I always bail that down to a player that I used to play with. Now, he is awful at finishing. His name was Alex, and he was terrible at finishing. But at the end of every single game, I used to say to my friend, "Oh my god, Alex has missed so many chances today. How bad was he?" And he'd turn around and go, "Luke, he scored 4 goals today." But all I remember is that he missed 7. But the thing is, he created so many chances that when I was playing up front, I'd get 1 or 2 and they'd go, "God, Luke, you played amazing." But if it was Alex playing, he'd probably still score way more goals than me, because even though his finishing was a lot worse, the other attributes that contribute towards being a very good goal scorer were higher for him than they are for me, especially being physicals, and I think that's exactly the same as Football Manager. Now, if you agree with me or you think you have the worst unpopular opinion, then you need to put it down in the comment section so we can all roast you in the comments. And thank you very much. Go check out this video because me and Dad went one-on-one Benfica versus Porto, and it is amazing.